Loud enough? That's what these guys don't say that. Welcome to the Butte-Silver Council of Commissioners regular meeting tonight, Wednesday, June 15th. Could I have roll call, please?
10 present, 1 presiding.
Let the record show that Commissioner Sorge is not here tonight. He has been excused. And now if you'll just join us with Commissioner Thatcher with the prayer and the pledge.
Almighty God, we implore you, look upon us and guide us this night as we make decisions which so greatly affect our community of Butte-Silver. Direct our thoughts, words, and deeds so that we please you and best serve our fellow citizens. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Hattie. At this time, I would ask for approval of the minutes from June 1st of 2022. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I move to approve the minutes from the June 1st, 2022 regular meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from June 1st, 2022. Is there anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? And would anyone care to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
Motion passes. At this time, I have asking for items not addressed on the agenda. I see none that have come before us by this evening. So we'll move on to the Chief Executive's report. And I'm going to ask Sadie if she could please read this into the record.
Chief Executive's report. I want to thank Madam Chair for leading tonight's meeting. I apologize for not being present. I am absent from tonight's meeting because I am attending the Montana League of Cities and Towns Executive Board meeting and strategic planning sessions. Our thoughts are with the communities that have been devastated by the flooding happening in our state. Jim Merrifield, our manager of emergency services, has traveled to Livingston to offer our support from VSB in helping the community of Livingston. Demolition of 123 and 125 East Park. During and after the demolition of 135 East Park, the issue of the unstable wall became more apparent. While Public Works did an excellent job keeping the wall intact during the demolition of 135, it became apparent that it was in a very dangerous condition, and the rescue mission agreed. The rescue mission sent a letter to me that indicated that they did not have an abatement plan and would not be able to obtain one within the established time frame. They asked us to go ahead and start enforcement. The mission also indicated that based on the dangerous building designation, they were not going to sell their building because of the liability that could be associated with the sale. After conferring with the county attorney, it was my decision to go forward with the enforcement based on information gathered by our building official and fire marshal, that the building is a danger to the public and our EMS personnel. There have been rumors and dialogue that the pride flag that we raised on the 1st of June would be taken down. I want this to be clear, this is only a rumor, and the flag will not be taken down and will fly at the courthouse through the month of June. I have sent out the message below to anyone that has reached out to me, and I wanted to share it at tonight's meeting. I am proud to fly the flag at the Butte-Silver Courthouse and doing a proclamation at the Council of Commissioners regular meeting on June 1st. The flag has been flying since June 1st and will remain up through the month of June, recognizing Butte's commitment to anti-discrimination. The non-discrimination ordinance was passed by our council in 2014, one of the first in the state and nation. I'm proud to be part of a government that recognizes diversity and inclusion. This concludes the Chief Executive's report.
Thank you, Sadie. All right, at this time, I would call for any public comment on any item that is on tonight's agenda. And we do have a bid opening coming up where the pros and cons can be done at that time, but if there's anything else that anyone would like to speak on, please come to the microphone and give us your name and address for the record. I don't see anybody jumping up. Okay, moving on, then we have Section 1, bid openings, public hearings, and/or presentations. Under bid openings, we have Item 1, communication number 2022-268. Kristen Rosa, Tiffin Administrator, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a bid opening for June 15th, 2022 for the Montana Connections Rail Park Road and Utility Construction Project. Do we have proof of publication?
Madam Chair, there is proof of publication, and it does appear to be in order.
Thank you. Kristen, floor is yours.
Oh, you're more experienced at this. So we did get one bid, and it is for, from MJD Contracting in Clancy, Montana.
County Attorney Joyce?
Madam Chair, there is a bid bond from a licensed surety company in the amount of 10%, and it does appear to be in order.
Thank you. Kristen?
The total bid price is $3,467,590. Sorry, $3,467,590.
Okay. Is that that's the only bid then?
That is it.
Okay, I think we'll refer this back to Public Works. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to refer this back to the Public Works Department for a recommendation back to this council.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to refer this back to the Public Works Department to come back to this body. Do we have anything on the question? Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you. You know what's coming. Engineering estimate for that project?
$2,660,000.
I'm sorry, Kristen, that was $3 million.
$2,660,000.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Anything else on the question? Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? And would the clerk please record the vote?
10 yea, 0 nay.
Motion passes. All right, onward to our presentations. We have two. Item 1 is communication number 2022-269. Kristen Rosa, Tiffin Administrator, requesting Council of Commissioners to schedule time on the June 15th, 2022 regular meeting agenda to give a presentation of the annual reports for the URA, HAS, TEDD, and TIFID. So we get the URA, the HAS, the TED, and the Tiffin. There's a mouthful. Thank you, Kristen.
Sorry, I wasn't paying
Director
attention.
Rosa.
So Kristen Rosa, Tiffin Administrator, Butte-Silver Bow, and Karen and I will be doing a little tag teaming on this presentation. And we call it an annual report, but it's been a couple years since we've been up here. I think we took a break during COVID, but thought it was time to get up here and tell you a little bit about what we have going on. So in Butte, we have 4 active districts. 2 of them are industrial districts, the South Butte TED and the TIFID, Montana Connections. We have 2 urban renewal districts, the URA, which is our uptown commercial district, and the Harrison Avenue district. The East Butte RRA has sunsetted, but we still have active projects in that district. So there are still meetings ongoing and expenses ongoing with that, projects ongoing with that district. I thought, since it has been a couple years since we've been up here, that it would be good to review how a district is created, and then Karen will talk about the administrations of the districts, and then we'll do a little bit of review about what's going on specifically in each of the districts. So a district is created by the local government, and we have to, the first step is to identify boundaries. You have to notify the Department of Revenue that you're going to do it. You then start having to have public meetings and public notification, let all of the folks in the boundaries that are proposed and the taxing jurisdictions know that you intend on creating a district. Then a resolution comes in front of you guys for a finding of necessity. Once that's approved, we prepare a plan that either highlights blight or highlights infrastructure deficiencies. And then we make sure that it is in line with the growth policy for Butte-Silver Bow, and then hold a public hearing to adopt the ordinance for the district. The state has one role to play in this, and that is that they need to certify that we have followed all the steps. They don't have any say in whether you can create a district or not. That is up to the local government, but they do have basically the checklist to make sure that we've met all of the requirements. Then I just wanted to kind of go over how tax increment works. Generally, you have a district where you're seeing either stagnant or declining property values. And you create a district to ensure that you can invest money inside that district to increase or grow the property values. And so on the right-hand side of this slide, you can kind of see a table of what happened with the TIFID. In 1994, the base value was 1.7 million, so that is that first dotted line. That's the 1.7 million. And just worth noting, out of that 1.7 million, Solvay was 1.6 million of that base value. Then we were able to attract REC Silicon, and we invested about $42 million in different infrastructure and land purchases. And then between 2008 and 2022, which is my tenure, so that's what I can talk about, we have seen more growth. We've seen other businesses come into the district. So then in 2021, you can see that the taxable value is 6.9 million, which is a growth of over 5.2 million in taxable value. So from now on, all of the taxing jurisdictions will see additional revenue from the investments we've made in that tax increment district. And I can guarantee you, without tax increment financing, we would never have been able to support and attract REC Silicon. So I think I always like to advocate for tax increment financing. It's a great thing. The other thing to note about that is in 2021, Solvay's taxable value is $400,000. Nobody ever in that area, 3T taxing jurisdiction, ever experienced the loss of $1.2 million of Solvay's taxable value, because we always had to fill the base before we could spend any increments. So now Karen will come up and talk a little bit more about the administration. Okay, I can't get it.
Oh, it's coming. Director Burns.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of council. I am Karen Burns, Director of Community Development. Whoa, we just went way far. So how do we go back? We went all the way through it. Cool.
That was really
We're
quick.
done. Bye. Almost there. It doesn't like the graphics. Well, okay, hopefully it's going to stay right here. I'm not going to click any more buttons for a second. Okay, so it's really important to note, and this is a question we get often when we're looking at creating a new tax increment financing district. We're looking at, I always say that, and it's sort of a misnomer. The district is a redevelopment district that implements tax increment financing. So one thing that we always try to make clear is that when you implement tax increment financing, there is no financial effect on individual property owners within the district. It's not a new tax. It's not an increase of their tax. It only affects the way that new tax dollars, new increases in value, are distributed and collected on the back end. So that's what's really important to note about tax increment financing. Taxes are paid on the basis of the value of your property and including any new improvements. So if you make individual improvements to your property, you should probably expect your taxes to go up, right? But that is how this works. Property owners benefit in the district because they benefit from the improvements that are made in the area, because a lot of these districts can also be beneficial to public infrastructure installation in the district, electrical upgrades, lighting upgrades, sidewalks, things like that. So that's why individual owners in the boundaries do benefit from these districts. You cannot see these fun little graphics, but how tax increment funds can be spent. The funds can be spent within the boundaries of the district. They also can be expended for connecting infrastructure to the district. So for, like Kristen's example, for the Montana Connections Park, extensions of that infrastructure to the district to serve the district is legitimate use of those tax increment dollars. The URA has done this with some connecting infrastructure in terms of electrical and sidewalk work, when it makes sense to extend the sidewalk work beyond, and us not just stop it directly at the edge of the district and leave a sidewalk to nowhere. We've been able to extend those sidewalks just to where it makes sense to make connectivity for pedestrians. Under urban renewal, district funds can focus on blight. So that is a really big word, the elimination of blight, but the definition of blight can be inconsistent zoning, abandoned buildings, infrastructure that's lacking, things like that. Targeted economic development districts focus more on infrastructure or insufficient infrastructure. Administrative costs can be paid with the increment. That's wonderful, so it can help pay our salaries and our administrative costs of our office. It also can help pay for marketing and other things and other materials within the districts. So there's various arrangements for administration of these districts across the state. Some have a contract with outside agencies to administer their districts. Billings has contracts. They have, for every single one of their districts in Billings, they have an individual contract with someone who administers that district. So that can lead to a little bit of inconsistency in our eyes. In Missoula, they're all managed by the Missoula Redevelopment Agency. Bozeman, there's a hybrid. Some of them are administered by their county. Others are administered by an outside agency. In Butte-Silver Bow, we really feel like it's working really well, and we've talked with others across the state about our efficiencies of being able to run our districts through our community development office, with us being the staff to all the individual boards. And we do feel like it's important to have individual boards for each district so that they have ownership in what they're doing, and they have really a passion about that district and what can be done in that district. So I know that Sean serves on our Montana Connections Board, and he might agree with that. In the tax increment district programs, the URA and the HAS, we call it, the Harrison Avenue District, those are our active urban renewal districts. We have grants and loan programs within those districts that can focus on different things. The URA focuses on the historic district, preservation, economic vitality, planning dollars, as you've seen with the Uptown Master Plan, and implementation of some of those projects. The Harrison Avenue District has a focus on economic development, business enhancement on the retail corridor. And that was written into our plan that was adopted as part of the ordinance. The TIFID and the TED are more focused on infrastructure, as you've been told. They have infrastructure grants, they have loans, they can do feasibility assistance for industry that's looking at locating here. The TIFID focused most on recruitment and retention of targeted industries and had a lot of vacant land. The TED, which is in South Butte, focuses more on retention and expansion of the existing industry in the area. We're going to go through some fun stuff now, kind of about what our districts have done and where they are. These maps, I feel like I'm talking too close to the microphone. These maps are of the Harrison Avenue District and the URA. You're very familiar with the URA district. I think that's the one with the pink hash line. That takes up a lot of the uptown core, some of the central Butte neighborhoods, and goes up north above the original mine yard. The Harrison Avenue District runs basically from Dewey Boulevard south all the way down to Sunset Road, just below, above the bowling alley in that area, and kind of outlines near the airport property. And then over by Margaret Larry on the other side. In the URA, in this last year, we have 129 active grant projects. That's the most we've ever ever had. It's a lot to keep track of and manage. We have awarded over $1.1 million in grant funds this year, leveraging over $4.5 million of investment in the district. That's because our grants are matching grants, so they have to expend, more than they're given, obviously. We have expended $894,000 of that $1.1 million this year, but that is a carryover of projects that span multiple years. So not all the grant funds that were awarded at $1.1 million, $800,000 have been spent. $800,000 or almost $900,000 have been spent this year for grant projects, but they could have been awarded in previous years because a lot of our projects do span multiple years. But that's what we've spent to date on projects. We have 35 active loans within our district. All these loans are performing. We have no loans that are behind on their payments or we're looking to collect from. All of our loans are current, which is kind of an amazing thing because we are kind of a risky lender. We take a riskier position with our loan funds because we encourage the use of local banks or banking institutions, and we provide that gap financing. And to have them all performing is a good sign that we're investing smartly in these businesses. One big thing to note, and they had a little kickoff tonight, is the Uptown Master Plan was completed and implementation has begun. We had sign-up sheets tonight at the kickoff. People were signing up to volunteer and be part of the projects that we're going to implement. And then we also did complete this week an application for a planning grant to implement a lighting project plan for Uptown Butte. So hopefully we get that planning grant, the URA will provide match to that, and we'll get that kicked off to start looking at pedestrian lighting in Uptown Butte right away. If anybody's interested in public art, that's the first committee that'll be formed. Raise your hand, send me an email, we'll get you on the team. We've also begun an implementation team, which includes myself, Shanna Adams, George Everett, and Stephen Coe from the URA board and other board members from Shanna's Uptown Master Plan group. So we're gonna be working on that. Now some fun pictures. The picture there with Pita Pit is the Stevens block. The URA helped with a loan for the initial purchase of that building to the current owners so they could get into the property. And then we've also helped with multiple different phases of grants on the improvements to that structure. I think everybody has seen that space, I hope. It's amazing. They did a really, really great job, and there are great plans to come. I think everyone is also very familiar with the photo up there of the Finland Hotel. The Finland Hotel, the URA played a very large role in the initial purchase loan for that property. We loaned funds in to get that purchase done so that the new owners, Shanna and JJ Adams, were able to take possession of the property. And we've also helped them with some initial improvements to the property, a planning grant to do a feasibility analysis of what they needed to do for fire suppression and other things, and also helped them with the award of a community development block grant of $700,000 that is now out to bid for fire suppression in that property. I don't know if you recognize that top picture. It used to be blue. This is 40 East Broadway. This is the property that is now under ownership by Grover Development and Montana Studios. They are in the midst of their facade improvement. The URA helped with a grant for that facade improvement and are looking at now moving on to the next phase, which will make it, I think it's beautiful even right now, but it'll make it a lot prettier when we move into that second phase. The Thornton building right below that, the URA assisted in the purchase of that building to the new owner to the tune of just over $800,000 to help them purchase that property. And we've also helped with some initial small grants for some elevator repairs and other work that needed to be done in the building. The next picture over is 100 South Montana, known as the Colonial. This was a complete remodel, renovation of that property to 24 apartment units that are now completed. The upper 2 stories are 2-story apartments. They're loft apartments. They have a spiral staircase in them. I think it's pretty awesome. I'm all for density. We need more residential units in Uptown. I don't know if anybody's been to the Axe Bar, thrown an axe. I have. I kind of suck at it. depends on, sometimes I'm better at it than others. You got to be a little bit aggressive. But so the AXBAR, the URA helped with a loan to help purchase that property. And then we also have been helping with improvements along the way in terms of plumbing, electrical, facade work, a lot of different things there. So it's a great success. Miners Hotel, we have been a partner in this project since the beginning. We have helped with multiple grants and loans over the years for the renovation of that property, and I'm very, very proud of it. I think you're familiar with this building. It is the North O'Rourke. We've taken some pictures along the way. This building was very close to collapsing on that west wall. We worked with the new property owners who purchased it from the Zimmermans with an initial grant of over $112,000 to help rebuild that back wall. You can see in these photographs the back wall is rebuilt. And then we just did a second phase award to them to help with windows in that property. And so it's looking good. Here's the sister to that property, for lack of a better term, the South O'Rourke building, which we helped with just under $300,000 worth of grants in this property, and a loan that was paid off as they condoed the units in this property. There was 11 separate condos. They sold them all before they were finished and paid off their loan to us before the work was completed at the building. So very, very good success story there. Harrison Avenue District is not as abundant in projects because it is very new, and it is a different animal, being that retail corridor. We have 7 total projects on our books right now. We've awarded $76,000 in grant funds, 4 active projects with those $76,000. And we also awarded $280,000 in development agreements. And what that means is we've partnered with property owners or building owners that are doing investments that we didn't want to pay out cash flow wise all at once. So it's a development agreement where we pay them back over time. That leveraged over $1.4 million of investment with those agreements. And year to date, in 2022, we've expended $148,000 in that district, and it continues to grow. We collected just over $400,000 in tax increment in that district this year, so more to come, more projects to come, that's what that means. Here's a few notable projects. The clinic there for SCL Health, we partnered with Teton Village with a development agreement on that. The next slide over, or the next picture over, you probably don't truly recognize what that is, but it is a condoed housing development just to the east of Stodden Park. That's across Hill Avenue. They needed to replace all of their roofs on every single property within that development, and we partnered with them on a matching grant to replace all the roofs in the area. And you can see their roofing one right there in that lower corner. It's actually being re-roofed in this picture, which is nice to know that they're doing the work. The other thing I should note really quickly is with our funds and our projects, the money doesn't leave us until the work is actually done. So we award projects, we hold them on our books, we work with those property owners, those contractors, and when the work is done, inspected, all the permits are noted, we then release funds. So that's the way that we ensure that we don't pay for things that aren't complete. Murdoch's was another big project that we worked on, those top 2 photos. They were having some major stormwater issues off of the road here and needed to mitigate that. So in their mitigation, they installed sidewalks. Oh my gosh, I get so excited for sidewalks. I absolutely love them. So their stretch of road never had sidewalks right there on the south side of Murdoch's. So now it has not only new sidewalks, curb and gutter, but stormwater mitigation has been in place, and so that will keep their lot from flooding. And it also helped out Butte-Silver in terms of our stormwater management along that edge. The lower photo is the Kmart building, where we partnered with the previous owner with a development agreement on the roof for that building. A new roof was needed. The roof was about $400,000 to replace the roof. We were just a portion of that with our district through a development agreement. Allowed the sale to happen to U-Haul, who has moved their corporate offices there, and they've created to date about 20 jobs within that building. and they're continuing to hire. It is their corporate headquarters. I got a tour of the back room of where they have their control command center for U-Haul. It kind of looks like air traffic control. They have these big screens, and they're tracking trucks, and there's people with headsets, and I mean, it's really impressive. It's beyond what I thought about U-Haul. So really excited about that development, and they have big plans for beautification of the front of that building and of their property. So that's what's going on with us with urban renewal districts in those two areas, and I'm going to turn it over to Kristen to talk about Montana Connections and the TED. It's working now.
It's working. I won't touch it.
Ms. Rizzo?
So hopefully you guys all recognize where this is at. This is west of town, about 5 miles west of town, near the city of Ramsey in Silver Bow. So this is a map we use for identifying property and marketing the park. So a little bit different take. Because we are sunsetting in June, I thought I'd do a little bit of history of how we got to where we're at today. And in 2014, the TIFA board held a strategic work plan, or work session, and we created a vision and a mission, and I don't necessarily need to read them to you, but, you know, vision of being a flexible in premier industrial park, mission of really assisting businesses and making sure that when they got out there that it was a good experience and they could get their projects off the ground. To support that vision and mission, we set goals to complete our infrastructure, create shovel-ready sites, support the Port of Montana, and work on business retention, making sure that the businesses that we did have out there, we didn't just forget. Also to diversify our economy, so we focused on building some spec space, industry space, and then market to developers for, you know, recruitment to fill some of that vacant land. We put in place some metrics, which were tax increment, employees in the park, occupied facilities, developable acres, and a customer satisfaction. My board made me do it. It was before Sean, but never figured out a great way to measure customer satisfaction. So kind of just wanted to go over, did that strategic plan, where did we end up with in that strategic plan? And as I've already mentioned, you know, our base was 1.7, taxable value for 2021 is 6.9 million. When you bring that all down, that's going to be $3 million of increment that will be annually sent back to the taxing jurisdictions now, starting July 1st. Since 2008, we've invested roughly $20 million in infrastructure, including sewer, potable water, rail, and subdivision engineering. I estimate, not everybody wants to give you their employee numbers or their wages, but I estimate over 550 employees in the park currently with annual compensation over $55,000, and I think that's pretty low. We have some pretty good paying employers out there. We have 19 different businesses in the TIFA to date, and we are down to about 170 acres of developable property that is owned by Butte-Silver that is really ready to be developed. So what happens now that we're almost to June 30th? The district continues to exist. What we don't have is tax increment financing anymore to work with new developers or companies that are coming in. What we do have is a $1.4 million loan that we put in place with CCAST, and they continue to pay on that. It's a 5-year loan, but those funds will continue to revolve. And as we finish up some of these projects, like the project that we opened today and some of the agreements that are on the agenda tonight, as we get our budget more finalized, I suspect that additional funding will be put into the loan fund for future projects. So these are some pictures that I thought. The first one on the upper left, that was during the construction of REC, and it's an aerial one, and it doesn't really show the left side of, or the left side, the east side of Rick Jones Way, but you can kind of see that there's a lot of vacant property out there. In 2015, we completed the sign there, and you can see that we have, 7 businesses on that sign. And then there's a drone footage that we took in 2018 during the construction of Montana Craft Malt, which is the one you can see on the right-hand side of Rick Jones Way. And you can see in the foreground, there's just one building. So in this next picture, the top left, there's now 3 buildings on that one parcel, and a 4th one will be built this fall. Old Dominion is south of, so the top right, Old Dominion is south of those 3 buildings. That was vacant property in 2018. On the sign, you can see we're down to, that shows 2 spots. We're actually down to 1. Savage Railroad just went in there, and they took up one of our last spots. The picture next to that is Wausau, which is a 150,000 square foot building that's just right around the corner. On Rick Jones Way, where it turns headed towards REC Silicon. The middle right-hand corner, that's Murdoch's. That's an 80,000 square foot warehouse and distribution center that will be opened here in the next probably 6 weeks. And then the last picture's not so great, but it's a picture of the finished Montana Craft Malt, and behind that is Ergon. So all of those projects have been completed since 2018. And now on to the South Butte Targeted Economic Development District. This one is a little bit newer, and we have been lucky. We were able to work with Atlas Power, who invested about $100 million into the district and continue to invest in the district. And we, the board, decided to do an infrastructure analysis so we could look at what kind of projects we wanted to undertake in that district. We'll be meeting on that plan on July or June 22nd, and we have roughly $1.6 million in reserves to look at some of those infrastructure projects. You can see the base for that district is 1.3 million, and the current taxable value is 2.4 million, so we've seen growth in that district. And then finally, while this wasn't a legislative year, I just wanted to kind of rehash what's happened in the last couple of legislations. Tax increment financing is attacked every legislation and session, and they have made a few inroads for some reason, and TEDs seem to be targeted more than URAs, but we have lost some of our the mills in our increments. So I guess I would just implore, whenever you're talking to anybody in the state government, that tax increment financing is a big tool, and I think we've used it very well, but every year it gets chipped away at. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Kristen and Director. Anybody have questions? Yep. Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is for Kristen. Why do the state legislatures target these programs?
Wow. For a variety, thank you, Chairman Shaw, Commissioner Shea. For a variety of reasons. Some people think that the money is being used nefariously, which we've had to undergo a couple of different audits by state departments to prove that it's not. Some folks think that the increment that's there would be the panacea and answer to public education funding, and it won't. It's when you bring out and figure out all the public, the money that would go to schools, it's a drop in the bucket compared to what the schools really need. So it's a variety of reasons, yeah.
Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Kristen. I was just curious, in the past you had talked about expanding the TIF to the south. You were running out of room, and the state owns some land to the south. It sounds like the state don't want to sell you the land to the south. Is that true? And if the state wants to lease that land, from what I understand, what will happen? Will you help them get industry on that property, or are they on their own, or how will that work?
Kristen?
Chairman Shaw, Commissioner Callahan, thank you. I was supposed to transition and say the reason I told you how a district is created is because we are going to look at creating another district around there. I think there's still some unfinished business out there. There's some areas that don't have infrastructure, and directly to the point of that state parcel that is south. It has been before you to be rezoned, and the reason is we would like to include it in a future TED. We would work with the state. They could continue to lease the property, but you got to remember that then there would be beneficial use taxes on that property, and that would be increment to the district that could be used to finish the infrastructure to support additional industrial development. And yes, I think, we're down to about 170 acres. If all of the projects that we have on the board right now go through, we're down to about 170 developable acres, and that's, 5 or 6 parcels, really.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much, both of
Thanks.
you, for your presentation. It's nice to be talking about this after 2 years of being in the, in not doing much of anything. Okay. Next, we have communication number 2022-283, and this is Mark Neary, Public Works Director, requesting council commissioners to schedule time on the June 15th, 2022 regular meeting agenda for the presentation on countywide maintenance district work plan update for FY 2022 and the work plan for FY 2023. Director Neary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, for the record, I'm Mark Neary, Public Works Director. This is my yearly maintenance district update. I believe everybody is aware that in August of 18, the Commission voted the passage of a single maintenance district rather than the old 4 districts that we had. And in the ordinance, it requires a work plan update every year. So here we go. So this slide here shows in the winter of 21 and 22 that we used 1,900 tons of de-icer and 451 tons of sand for a total of $289,714 in just those two products. This here is our routes. The red marked routes are our primary, the green are our secondary, and the blue routes are routes maintained by MDT. This is a list of our primary routes, and I believe everybody knows, I get a lot of questions, why don't we hit every street and this and that, but what happens in a snowstorm is we hit our primary routes first. If it stops snowing, we move to secondary, and then if there isn't any more snow, we try and move into neighborhoods if we can. It doesn't happen very often, but last year we did get a lot of neighborhoods cleaned up, but it was a mild winter. But this is our list of primary routes. This is our list of secondary routes. And these are the routes maintained by MDT. We plowed 65 miles of roads, 6,883 man-hours worked. Labor costs were just under $289,000, and equipment costs were just under $169,000. We swept 285 miles of roads, 90 miles of roads were flushed, 2,829 man-hours spent sweeping, 1,057 hours spent flushing, total labor of just under 152, and total equipment just under 142,000. Since January of 22, we have filled 3,901 potholes. The reason that I bring this up is because we get crucified for not patching properly. The DuraPatch system isn't perfect, but it works, especially in our climate. But this kind of shows we are able to patch these potholes in the winter to where we don't have to wait till hot mix comes up. Like I say, it's not perfect, but it does work. In 22, or from July 1st of 21 to May 31st of 22, we've done 12,595 pothole patches. This here is just kind of a summary of since 2016, how many potholes we have patched, and there it shows you in 2021, 15,473. up a little bit from 2020. The rural road maintenance, we do 131 miles of the rural roads, 1,070 man-hours work, total labor 43,777, and total equipment is $32,141. This kind of sums it all up with the flushing labor, sweeping labor, patching and repairs labor, snow removal, pickups and plow trucks labor, blading the rural roads, and then our materials and equipment. It comes out about $1.2 million. But that's only through April. We still don't have material, equipment, and one, I think I wrote it down too. I got 3 of them. Sorry. Yeah, labor, material, and equipment costs through, we'll have, through the end of June. So this will go up. So our 2023 proposed work plan, the number of miles that we're gonna plow will probably stay about the same. So it's 65 total miles of primary and secondary routes. We plow tertiary neighborhoods as we were able, and we de-ice and sand primary and secondary routes. We have just under $287,000 planned for de-icer and salt, $57,750 in overtime planned for snow removal. Estimated labor cost is $330,067, and equipment cost is $185,760. We plan on sweeping 285 miles of roads. 90 miles of roads will be flushed. Estimated labor will be $169,000, $164,772, and equipment cost will be $200,850. Oop. Whoop. Okay, so we have just under $200,000 planned for asphalt for pothole repairs. Estimated labor of $89,308 and equipment cost of $89,287. 131 miles of rural roads to maintain. Estimated labor is $50,145. Equipment is $44,643. And this is what we're kind of budgeting for or forecasting for 2023 is just 1.644, 762.38. Oh, so these here are a list of streets. I don't know where the rest of my slide went. These are streets that we're planning on doing this year, this budget year, in our work plan. This is the chip seal that we have that we bid out this year and last year. So all these streets here will be chip sealed this year before August 25th. This is the list of the contractor that we bid out with. I believe Gilman got this. This is what we bid out here a couple months ago. But all these streets here are going to be done by a contractor, mill and fill. And that's it. And I'll answer any questions anybody has.
Thank you, Director Neary. And are there any questions from council members? Commissioner Shea and then Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Neary, for giving us all the numbers. I just have a question about the contractor projects. Are they included in your overall budget, or is there a separate bucket of money for the contractor projects?
Director Neary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Shea, that's included in our budget. Not out of the maintenance district, though. Out of our roads budget. Maintenance district is sweeping, flushing, patching, snow removal.
Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you very much, Chairwoman Shaw. Mr. Neary, I see the prices and the inflation and everything going up and just kind of sky high lately. Are we buying a lot of the supplies that we know that we're going to go through? The magnesium chloride for the road, for the ice melt, the sand and everything, and what do we have in ways of stockpiling those supplies so we can hold on to them?
Director Neary?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Anderson, before, once we start using the de-icer, we fill all the tanks. All of our storage tanks are full. So hopefully we bought it at the right price and not the wrong price. And we do have the majority of our sand already purchased. But sometimes that gets a little hard to get the later in the year too. The haulers they move on to, they're hauling your raw asphalt from the refineries to the hot plants and stuff. But we do have a pretty good stockpile of everything that we will need.
Commissioner Mank and then Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Director Neary, for your great presentation. Kind of a question with the flushing and street sweeping. It seems like they're all out right now, just beautifying Butte and getting all the streets clean. Is there any kind of a process? So residents, I had a couple constituents now that everybody sees them out and cleaning those streets. Is there any kind of a process or notification so maybe they could move a vehicle and maybe do a better, job if the vehicle wasn't there, kind of zigzagging and cleaning and trying to get in that gutter system kind of taken care of?
Director Neary?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Mankins, we don't have anything in place except in Uptown Butte. We put all the cones out for parking, but I don't believe, it is a good idea. We should probably do something like that in the neighborhoods that we know we're going to go to. But as of right now, we don't.
Okay. Commissioner Callahan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks, Mark. I was just curious, I see Mako sent out a thing on what each county gets in gas tax, and I see we get close to about 600,000. I'm assuming that's over and above your 1.6 million?
Director Neary?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Callahan, I believe, is the gas tax the same as the Barca? Okay. I'm going to call on Director.
Director Gleason?
Chairman Shaw, Commissioner Callahan. So we get different pots of money. So the money you're talking about, the gas tax, the 600,000, that goes into the regular road budget, the 2110 fund budget for capital use. Basically, we develop this maintenance district so that the maintenance work could be done on the maintenance side, and then we could do additional miles of new road. So the gas tax goes in there, and then Mark was referencing the Barca money, which is a different additional gas tax fund that's in a separate fund, 2821 in your budget books, and that is used strictly for capital projects. You adopt a resolution when we determine what projects that we want to move forward with, and you adopt a resolution for the county portion of those funds and the city portion of those funds, and then we move forward with those projects. So they are separate from these funds. So above, remember, the maintenance district funds are just those SID funds that we allocate to every parcel, $87.71 for a parcel with a value over 5,000 right now.
Follow-up, Commissioner Callahan?
Thank you, Danette. I'm just curious. So the maintenance is 1.6 million, and then say, Mako says we got close to 600,000, and I guess that they put that out for contractors for repairing streets. So is there more money that comes out of the local budget for streets over and above what our maintenance SID is? I guess it would be my question.
Director Gleason?
Chairman Shaw, Commissioner Callahan, roughly, I think, are we at 3.5 million or so in our road budget? So that 600,000 only represents a portion of that 3.5, 3 or more. We may even be higher now because we rolled so much more capital projects into the next year. But the budget that we're talking about with the road budget, which is the capital budget where the gas tax money is, that's the 3.5, is made up of the gas tax money, mills that are levied against taxpayers of this community, as well as the local option tax that's on the vehicle licensing plates. So when you license your vehicle, we have a local motor vehicle option license tax
Okay,
that's assessed, and that's how those funds are used.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from council members? Could you just give us a little fast forward on what the next steps are before we have the resolution before us, I believe in August, for the road maintenance fees? Yep. Danette? Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Director,
Chairman
please.
Shaw, so the process is that the budget is just adopted with the normal course of the budget. So for these funds too, the maintenance district is passed. During the public hearing process of the budget or whatnot, we talk about, in the public hearing notice, we talk about setting the values of certain assessments, and one of them is the road maintenance assessment. So currently, we're setting values based on parcels of property that have a market value over $5,000. They're getting allocated $87.71. It's roughly, I think when I did my presentation and we ran the numbers about less than a month ago, we're right around $1.6 million in estimated collections.
Okay, thank you. And Director Neary, if you don't mind, could you make this link available to all of us? I know Commissioner Sorich was anxious to take a look at it too, so that would be great.
Thank you.
Yep,
I will.
thank you very much.
Yep.
It's great. A lot of work, a lot of potholes. You always have a job. Thank you. All right, moving on to our consent agenda. This is section 3, or excuse me, section 2. And consent agenda is comprised of A, committee reports 1 through 4, and B, communications 1 through 33. Do we have any segregations or friendly amendments? Commissioner Fortune.
I'd like to segregate 13, 14, and 33.
Okay, 13 is 2022-302, and communication item 14 is 22-303. Is that correct, Justin?
Yes.
Okay. Any other friendly amendments or segregations?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hey.
Oh,
there-
did you have another one?
Yeah, 2022-323.
And what item number is that?
33.
33. Okay. 2022-323. Is there anything else? I'm sorry? Either 13 or 14, and then also 33. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chairman Shaw. Friendly amendment on communication 2022-300. It's number 11. It states July parade for Sunday, July 4th. The parade is Monday, July 4th. Thank you.
All right, so noted, thank you. Change Sunday to Monday. Okay, anything else before I call for a vote? Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve Section 2 of the consent agenda, A, 1 through 4, and B, 1 through 33, with the exceptions of 13, Communication 2022-302, 14, Communication 2022-303, 33, Communication number 2022-2 or 323.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda A 1 through 4 and B 1 through 33 with those segregations. Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? And would the clerk please record the vote?
10 yea, 0 nay.
Motion passes. Moving on to item 13. This is communication number 2022-302. Elizabeth Osborne, Butte-Silver Senior Planner, requesting Council Commissioners approve zone change application number 22-000003 and prepare an ordinance adopting the proposed change to the Butte-Silver zoning district map. Commissioner Fortune.
You might have to help me with the wording here.
That's okay.
I'm just going to abstain myself from 13 and 14. Item 13 is my property, so I don't want to vote on it. And item 14, I'm the I'm the general contractor for that project, so I'd better not vote on that.
We'll do each one separate, but on item 13, and then we need to vote whether or not we would approve the abstain, Commissioner Fortune to abstain himself. Commissioner Shea. I'm sorry? Yes. Thank you. So we have a motion, and we have a second. We have a motion and a second to allow Commissioner Fortune to abstain from item 13, 2022-302. Would everyone like to vote? Or we could just do a yay, I don't know. I guess we'll have to vote officially. No pressure, Sadie, sorry about that. And would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote? As we have,
9 yay, 1 abstain.
thank you. I think it's, 10 yay, 1 abstain, right? 10 yay and 1 abstain?
No.
We have 11.
There-
Okay,
there's-
okay. Do the math, sorry. Okay, just checking. Okay, moving on to item 14, this is communication number 2022-303, Elizabeth Osborne, Butte-Silver Bow Senior Planner, requesting council commissioners approve zone change. Oh, excuse me, we need to go back to 13, I apologize. Commissioner Fortune, would you care to make a motion for that item? Just to take it back to where the original communication was?
I guess I'll make a motion that you guys vote on item 13 without me. Concurrent place on file, sorry.
We have a motion, I'm sorry, County Attorney Joyce.
I think since Commissioner Fortune abstained from this, he shouldn't be making the motion. So if somebody else could make that motion.
Okay.
All right.
Commissioner Anderson? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a question, Commissioner Anderson?
I will make a
Oh,
motion
okay.
that we concur with communication 22-022-302 and place it on file.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to concur with the original recommendation for 2022-302 and place this on file. Is there anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? And here we go. Okay.
9 yay, 1 abstain.
Motion passes. Thank you. Now moving on to 14, communication number 2022-303. Elizabeth Osborne, Butte-Silver Bow Senior Planner, requesting council commissioners approve zone change application number 22-000004 and prepare an ordinance adopting the proposed change to the Butte-Silver Bow zoning district map. Commissioner Fortune.
Same as 13, I just want to abstain myself from this.
Okay. We have did you want to make the,
I'll make the motion.
thank you, Commissioner
To
Frederickson.
allow the vote for Commissioner Fortune to abstain.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to allow Commissioner Fortune to abstain from voting on this item. Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
9 yay, 1 abstain.
Motion passes. And now I would ask for a motion to Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to concur and place on file communication number 2022-303.
We have a motion and a second to concur with communication 2022-303 and place this on file. Is there anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? And would the clerk please record the vote?
9 yay, 1 abstain.
Motion passes. Okay, moving on to item 33. This is communication number 2022-323. Lisa Bracco, Butte-Silver Bow County Fair Chair, requesting Council Commissioners authorization to have Chief Executive Gallagher sign 3 agreements between the Source Management Group, Severinsen Production Company, and Joe D. Messina and/or her agent, Wasserman Music, in the city and county of Butte-Silver Bow. And I believe this would Commissioner Fisher. Oh, this is Fortune. Okay, Commissioner Fortune.
I was just hoping I could get some clarification. I've kind of heard some different things, so I was hoping we could clarify on how the concert's being paid for, I guess. And then, I guess since you guys are here, could you
Okay.
give us a presentation on what you have planned for the fair.
All right. Welcome, and please give us your name and address for the record.
Lisa Bracco, President of the Butte-Silver Fair Board. My address is 120 Low in Butte, Montana. Do you want me to say that?
And I don't know if you understood the Commissioner Fortune's question. He was wondering about the financing, is that correct?
Yes, so we actually have extra money this year from the year of COVID, so we have $35,000 extra. In our budget, we also have the normal $35,000, which would come into our budget in July, so that would give us $70,000, and we have approximately $22,000 in our account right now. So totally, we have $92,000 in our account to pay for the concert and the regular items that we do for the fair. We're also expecting around $25,000 in income off of the concert. We made the concert very affordable to all the community to come and help grow the fair. So I think we will be, we have more money in the budget than we need to, and I think we'll do really well.
Any further questions, Commissioner Fortune?
Do you want to give us an update on the fair, I guess, while you're here?
Sure. Well, we have a lot of great things planned for the fair. Obviously, we have a fair board that works throughout the whole year. We have some vendors that are coming in from art sculptures to arts and crafts to different trades, that sort of thing that you would normally see at a fair. We have food vendors. We're not trying to get a ton of food vendors, but we want everybody to make sure that they have enough food. One of them is Dave Sykowski. He comes every year and brings 2 food booths. And then we're working on 3 or 4 other contracts to bring in some food vendors. We're working on a kids area this year, so the kids have something fun to play with. And that'll be in a separate location. And we have the fish guy that comes in every year. We're working on maybe some motorcycle jumps, that sort of thing. So we have somebody working on that with some new fair board members. And we have the concert this year, which will be really exciting. That'll be in the rodeo arena. We could initially get up to 5,000 people in that arena. We have a lot of GA seating and festival seating down below, so that's an exciting time for the fair. We have some local entertainers, musicians that will be performing at the fair. We have a talent show going on, a pie eating contest. And then new this year too is we have a ranch rodeo going on Friday night. And it's free admission to everybody, which is exciting for the community. They can come out and see it. It's not like a regular rodeo with barrel racing, but it's a fun event, and they have different teams, and the teams get together, and so it's a different team that might win, and they'll have different things such as cow tying and steer wrestling and that sort of thing, but it's announced the night of. What goes on there. So those are kind of the things that were planned at the fair. We're hoping with this concert that we are looking at trying to bring in more tourism to the community. So I think this is a great thing. We are doing advertising outside of Butte. So we're looking at Dillon, Helena, Missoula, Bozeman, and so we're trying to increase tourism around the community, heads in beds, that sort of thing, and so we're hoping that every year, more sponsorships, more community involvement, that every year we can bring in a bigger concert, some more entertainment for the community.
All right. Any other questions for Lisa? Sounds great. Can't wait.
Thank you.
All right. Justin, would you care to make a motion to put that concurrent place on file?
It's on file.
We have a motion and a second to concur with Communication 2022-323 and place this on file. Is there anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? And would the clerk please record the vote?
10 yeas, 0 nay.
Motion passes. Okay, moving on to Section 3. This is ordinances and resolutions introduced to judiciary. Item 1 is Council Bill number 2022-06, ordinance number 2022-06, and that is being referred to judiciary. Moving to Section 4, we have an ordinances and resolutions for second reading. We have Council Bill number 2022-05 and ordinance number 2022-05. Would the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance amending Chapter 2.16 of the Butte-Silver Municipal Code entitled Fire Department, specifically amending sections 2.16.490 and 2.16.510, and providing for an effective date herein.
Thank you. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to place Council Bill number 2022-05, ordinance number 2022-05 on second reading.
We have a motion and a second to move Council Bill number 2022-05, ordinance 2022-05, and second reading. Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
10 yea, 0 nay.
Motion passes.
Oh, sorry.
Section 5, ordinances and resolutions for final reading. We have item 1 is resolution number 2022-38. Would the clerk please read the title?
A resolution authorizing and approving the sale by the city and county of Butte-Silver Bow for the real property described as the west portion of lots 8 and 9 of block 1 and the east 30 feet of the west 64 feet of lots 8 and 9 of block 1 of the Buffalo Spur Load Addition located in section 12, township 3 north, range 8 west, within the city county of Butte-Silver Bow, Montana, to Michael W. Harris in accordance with the provisions of the Butte-Silver Bow Municipal Code and providing for an effective date herein.
Thank you. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to place resolution number 2022-38 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second to move resolution number 2022-38 to final reading. Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
9 yea, 1 nay.
Motion passes. Item 2 is resolution number 2022-39. Would the clerk please read the title?
A resolution authorizing and approving the donation by the city and county of Butte-Silver Bow of the real property described as Lot 10A of the amended plat of the original Butte Town Site Certificate of Survey located in the northeast quarter of Section 13, Township 3 North, Range 8 West, within the city county of Butte-Silver Bow, Montana, to Carpenters Union Hall, Inc., in accordance with the provisions of the Butte-Silver Bow Municipal Code and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to place resolution 2022-39 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second to move resolution number 2022-39 to final reading. Would everyone please vote? Anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
10 yea, 0 nay.
Motion passes. Section 6, ordinances and resolutions for emergency suspension of the rules. We have one item, it's resolution number 2022-40, and this is for the suspension. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for the suspension of the rules for the purpose of passing resolution number 2022-40 by waiving subsection 7 of Rule 36 of the Rules and Order of Business of the Council of Commissioners, thereby having it considered for advanced passage without reference to the Judiciary Committee.
We have a motion and a second to move resolution number 2022-40 to an emergency suspension of the rules. Is there anything on the question? Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
10 yea, 0 nay.
Motion passes. Resolution number 2022-40, would the clerk please read the title?
A resolution to establish a commercial property assessed capital enhancement program, CPACE, in the city county of Butte-Silver Bow, Montana, and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
I move to place, thank you, Madam Chair, sorry. I move to place resolution number 2022-40 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second to move resolution 2022-40 to final reading. Would everyone please vote? Would anyone care to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
10 yea, 0 nay.
Motion passes. All right, moving on to the calendar of events and other meetings. Please note those on the list for, looks like through July 5th. So at this time, I would call for any public comment on any matter not on tonight's agenda. Does anyone care to make a comment? Okay. Ms. Moylan, give your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Jeannie Moylan of 303 West Silver Street. And I felt the need to come in and just clarify the record that even to this day, I'm interested in those properties. And I was interested all the way up until today in these properties. I would like to clarify, my phone number is 406-599-2209, and that I have record of all the dates and all the times that I was having communication with the Butte Rescue Mission and with Butte-Silver to the best of my ability. And that included doing everything I was asked to do, like go meet the department heads, to hire an engineer, had an assessment done with the engineer. I emailed the abatement plan from the engineer to JP, Dylan, Rusty, and Mark before the demolition. I also offered and emailed that to the Butte Rescue Mission before demolition began. On the weekend of the 3-day weekend, I had men available to bolt and secure the wall, but because of insurance worries by Butte Rescue Mission, they were afraid to do that, even though my contractor and my engineer are all licensed, bonded, and insured. So I just wanted to set the record straight. And I'm sorry that I wasn't able to get the respect or be listened to save these buildings.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Moylan. Any other comment on any item not on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, before I adjourn, I had something I needed to talk about yesterday, that this was coming up. Well, I knew it was coming up, and I think most of the council members have gotten notice from the Secretary of State and then also Montana Dems, which is the Democratic umbrella for all of the state of Montana. As you all know, State Senator Mark Sweeney passed away rather suddenly in the last few weeks, and his purview, his district, the precinct, included 4 counties: Butte-Silver, Anaconda, Deer Lodge, Granite, and Powell County. And in order to select a state senator that's going to replace Mark, his seat, that person would take that place until the special election in November. But there's this period of time between now and then. In order to do that, and this is rather unusual, and I had a county attorney weighed in quite a bit for me, but then I did hear from Granite County. So the Granite County commissioners would set this meeting. It's a joint meeting with all 4 counties because that's where Mr. Sweeney was from, and it was their duty to do that. So the Granite County board, their commissioning board in Granite County, they are setting up a joint meeting with all the counties on June 21st at 1 o'clock. It'll be set by Zoom, and don't worry about making all the, I will definitely send you an email. But there's a time element involved, which we're doing fine on the time. But that date and time was chosen by Granite County, and we don't have much control over that. It'll be a Zoom meeting, and there's also an opportunity to phone in, just like phone in remotely. But the key here is I need a quorum, which is 7, no less than 7. And so I was just asking if I could get a show of hands of anybody. It's going to be a short meeting. All we do is vote. That's all it is. We're voting. All of our votes count. I think County Attorney Joyce told me there's a formula, and each of our votes counts 1.33 of a vote. And if you recall, there was a letter that came through with 3 candidates. And if you haven't, I'll resend that to you. But from the Montana Democratic Party, they chose 3 candidates. And we can decide. We can vote individually as to the candidates. So that's about it. They said it wouldn't take long. I just need to get a show of hands, and please, if we don't do this, we're not. This is a statutory requirement that we have to do. So raise of hands. Patty, John, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And did I count you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, yeah, we're good. So if you'll all just be ready, I'll send you the Zoom information along with the phone information on an email. And it's not till Tuesday, but I figured we can't let you know too soon on this, just so you're ready. And I think Zoom will be fun. We'll get to see the other commissioners that are going to be there. So that's about it. I wasn't able to talk about this until I knew for sure what the plan was. I will make sure I get that sent, and then I'm having Jason Parrish, he's going to, it needs to be officially noticed. It'll just be on the website. We will have a special meeting notice. And that's about it. So any questions? Otherwise, I'll see your faces or hear your voices on Tuesday. And I will send you the information you need. Anything else to come before us tonight?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everyone. Great.